Rotarian Beth Mbote. Rotarian Beth.
Good evening, everyone. Let's recite the Rotary Grace. O Lord and Giver of all good, we thank thee for our daily food. May Rotary friends and Rotary ways help us to serve thee all of our days. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So now we'll go to the loyal toast. If you have a drink, please charge it. If not, place your hand over your heart. To His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to the President. We shall move over to the four-way test, and the four-way test will be led to us by Rotaractor Yvonne Ngong.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. The Rotary four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotaractor Yvonne. We shall move to introductions. So we shall start with the Rotarians present. Today we have a special visitor. I'll ask our AG, Alec Himboya, to say something. Thank you.
Good evening, President Sami. Good evening, all Rotarians of the great club of Rotary Club of Madaraka, Nairobi. I am here as a listener and not in an official capacity. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much, AG. I shall ask, can see Rotarian Richard Irungu from RC Rongai.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Irungu, RC Rongai. Pleasure to be here today. Hoping to have a good fellowship with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other Rotarian?
President. Thank you, President. My name is Amudola Dennis, President of the Rotary Club of Kampala Metropolitan. I'm glad to be here, joining our sister club in Nairobi. Yeah, and to enjoy fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dennis. Is there any other Rotarian?
Good evening, friends and family of Rotary. My name is Rotarian Martin Okuthe from the Rotary Club of Hurlingham, where I'm currently the president, here to support my fellow president and to support in general, the Rotary Club of Nairobi Madaraka. Happy to be here, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, President Martin. Thank you very much. Faith?
Oops. Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Faith Mungare, visitor to Rotary Club Madaraka.
Thank you, Faith. Okay. Protractors, shall start with Yvonne. Sorry, before we move to protractors, we still have another. Jillian.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. My name is
Hello.
Rotarian. Hello, my name is Rotarian Jillian Osagi from Rotary Club of Westlands. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Jillian. Pauline? Sorry, Dr. Pauline, your line seems not to be clear. Okay, sorry about that. We shall reach out to Rotarian Pauline after. Any Rotaractors? Yvonne?
Hi, everyone. My name is Von Ngonga from the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central. It's always a pleasure joining.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. It's always great to have you here. There's Winnie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Winnie
Hello.
Matuko from Rotaract Club of UN Afia, where I serve as the Vice President. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Winnie. We have Pauline back. Pauline, please introduce yourself. Yeah, we can hear you, but there's quite a bit of background noise.
I can hear you clearly. My name is Pauline, Club of Congress, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Pauline. Innocent?
Thank you, Mr. President. Innocent Oko here from the Great Rotaract Club of UNAFIA. Always a pleasure to join the meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there any other Rotaractor? Okay, so we'll jump to announcements. For announcements, we shall start with membership. So I'll let Director Charlene give a report. Charlene.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, family and friends of Rotary. I would like to officially welcome our newest Rotarian in the club, that is Rotarian Lydia Dirangu. She was inducted last Saturday at Fred's Ranch, Kitengela, and we are very happy. We would like to thank all the Rotarians and Rotaractors and the Friends of Rotary Club of Madaraka for making that event very successful. And just urge us all, the members, to fellowship with other Rotary clubs during their fellowships and just avail their makeups. We really love guests and we would love to grow our membership. Karibishani visitors. Back to you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Charlene. So we shall move to that's the official report for Saturday. So we shall move to Pastor Joki for the unofficial report.
Okay, yes, we went to Fred's Ranch, Isinya. First, it was so good to physically see people. We've been having a lot of Zoom meetings, but it was such a blast to physically interact with the members of the club. We maintained social distancing for like 5 minutes. And then from there, the Nyama came. Then it was a personal initiative, as the government tells us. It was one of those rare moments where drinks were served. So we had some drinks, we had some music. We enjoyed seeing how the guys of Friends Ranch commemorate birthdays. It was quite a treat. And I'd also like to welcome Lydia to the club. Enjoy being a member of one of the funnest clubs if not the most fun. So yeah, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Past President Joki. We shall move to service project. Director Joe. So we were approached by one school that we sponsored last year during our literacy project. This is Friends School. It's in Kariobangi North. They requested us to support them in coming up with a water, what's called a washing station for the school. The government hasn't given guidelines yet, concrete guidelines, but this was one of the things that the government officials are inspecting in several schools before they allow those schools to reopen. So our service projects team has identified a certain type of tank that they would like to use for the project, and they would reach out to the membership to be able to raise funds for this initiative. So the next next announcement from the Secretary. I'll ask Assistant Secretary Janet.
Good evening, guys. The Rotary Club of Nairobi will be having its club assembly on 14th September. We encourage all members to be in attendance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The next announcement is admin. So from club admin, the club admin had been planning for a joint trip with the Rotary Club of Kampala Metropolitan to be held in November, so the second weekend of November 2020. This trip is planned for Mombasa, the North Coast. We shall send these details, finer details, by the end of this week. But the plan is to have members to start making installment payments from this month so that we can secure the train tickets and their accommodation well in advance. This information shall be passed to both the official and unofficial group before the weekend. The last announcement will be from the Treasurer's desk. And the President circulated, So the President circulated the list of repayments, subscription by members. Those who kindly would request that you action on it so that we can be able to be in good standing with RI. And the final announcement. So Kenya Foodies is an online community for those who love everything about food, cooking, eating, and buying. So they have an initiative whereby they're trying to raise funding for various children's homes that have need of food. And this one, very needy homes that have been, and centers that have been forgotten. So they came up with an Mchanga link, which I shall be sharing to the membership, both the official and unofficial group. Kindly give what you can to this initiative. They're hoping to reach quite a number of homes. They have settled on, I think, 3 homes in Nairobi, the Nairobi area, and also asking if we could join them when they are doing the deliveries. Now, as we get to the point where we introduce the guest speaker, I'd like to invite the newest member of our club, Rotarian Lydia Ndirangu, to introduce our guest speaker. Rotarian Lydia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a great honor of introducing today's speaker. His name is Dan Obura. He's a personal friend of mine from more than a decade ago. So I'm just going to read his bio. With 11 years experience in digital strategy and marketing, his knowledge in the online space has enabled him to think creatively and challenge briefs to demonstrate how digital can open new opportunities for brands. In a focused career of delivering return on investment solutions to meet business objectives and campaign aims, Dan has worked with different brands from the financial sector, FMCGs, beverages, in brackets, non-alcoholic and alcoholic, NGOs, parastatals, the UN, European Union, and the Government of Kenya. I would like to invite you all to please welcome today's guest, Mr. Dan Obura.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Lydia. Also, thank you so much, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity to fellowship with the Rotary Club of Madaraka. So I guess literally like to have like an interactive session with everyone. So before we start, I see like, you know, how we are in terms of our headspace, okay? So I'll basically ask everyone to I'll ask you a question and just comment on the group chat, yeah? Since our discussion for today is living in a digital world, what internet provider are you using currently? You can just comment on the comment section over there as we go on. We're seeing a Safaricom, Zuku. Okay. Good to know. So we have a lot of people who are using Safaricom, yeah? So living in this time and age, this COVID period, I mean, we've had a long 2020, if I can say. So many people are having conversations online saying that they need to forward and go to 2021 because they're already tired of the year. But good thing is we're still strong as a country, as a nation, and we still keep on pushing forward just to, like, you know, see what can basically come out of this all. So I preferred to share this presentation by just having, like, you know, a one-on-one conversation and just not having, like, you know, the PowerPoint kind of presentation, so that we can always also have, like, you know, a sense of dialogue as we go on, yeah? So I'll take you through my journey. Then from there, I will talk a bit about the current situation. This is now all things related to digital marketing. And then I will touch a bit on basically what brands should do. From there, I will finish off with a bit of pointers when it comes to e-commerce and basically what people are doing when it comes to the e-commerce platform. So as I began my journey into the digital space. This is now 11 years back. I might look young. I have had a bit of experience in that. So I began first, this is now entering the event space. And I can see one of my first boss is actually online. Thank you for joining, Marion. And I think from there is where I basically, like, you know, got a foot in by just trying to figure out, like, you know, over and above what people do on ground, what can also be escalated back into the digital space. So I basically began as a wedding planner. Then now from there, I scaled up to, this is now digital. This is now as a whole. And from there, I joined, this is now the Red House Group, where I worked for my 7 years. As I started off as a social media executive, scaled up to, this is now a planner. Then now from there, I joined Ogilvy Africa. This is now last year in March 2019 as a strategy planner. So I've been basically doing strategy and planning all this time. And basically what that means is I come up with thinking directions and just different kinds of executions that brands can actually play in. Specifically, this is now in the digital space. Yeah. So what's the current situation within, this is now the market? And I'll just talk specifically about Kenya. One, there's something that we basically segmented 2020, this is now as agency people, to 3 segments. Yeah. So we're calling the first one breakout. The second one, we call it containment. And now there's the new normal. So breakout is way early. This is now when COVID basically hit and it was announced within Kenya. And this was in March. And we term it as breakout is because like most organizations and most people weren't expecting this is now the kind of impact it could have. This is now in the economy. And then now we moved to containment, where we found that a lot of companies and organizations and even businesses owned businesses were trying to figure out, like, you know, how they can adjust to the current situation in terms of what was happening. And I will give you a few data and analytics as to, like, you know, the numbers, how they actually look like right now. And you can just drop, like, if you have a question as we go on, you can just drop it in the comment section. I'll address it as we move on. So looking at Hootsuite. Hootsuite basically shares information on a yearly basis, but right now they're after every 6 months. So the current, from Hootsuite, they basically state that population is at 53.17 million, yeah? And out of this, basically what they've picked out is 52.06 million actually have mobile phones, yeah? So by giving you this data, is basically I'm just building a case towards this is now what I need to now bring to light in terms of what organizations and where you basically need to think if you want to do business looking at this time and age. So ideally that's close to 90% of individuals within Kenya who actually own a mobile phone. Just, it can be a feature phone or it can be a smartphone, yeah? And out of this 53 million in approximate, you'll find that 28.86 million are internet users, yeah? So there's actually a 43% internet penetration as we speak. This is now just within the Kenyan market, yeah? And 8.8 million out of the total number actually have social accounts. This is now Facebook, Twitter, your Instagram. Even right now, we're talking about messengers being a social media platform. And a messenger is as simple as, you know, your WhatsApp platform, your Telegram, and all that. So Kenya is more of an advanced country when you compare it. This is now with other African countries, or even other countries within other continents. And one thing you basically pick out is the reason why I actually asked you, like, you know, just to mention the internet provider that you have. I don't know if anyone has noticed, like if you're in another state, you'll find that internet connectivity isn't as fast as when you're in Kenya. And I actually picked out that the 4G network the Safaricom basically provides is faster than their home Wi-Fi. And it's all about just investing on digital, because virtual is the way to go currently. And even most accounts or most clients we basically engage with as an organization, in as much as they still stick to the traditional methods of even storing data, we still push for, like, you know, them securing their data or just migrating into digital. And that basically now moves me back to the second agenda in terms of what I want to share with you is, so what should brands do? Like right now, there are people who are still seated and thinking, okay, what next? Yeah. Ideally, you need to innovate. Yeah. As a business, as an institution, you need to innovate, because I can just pick out from the government angle, like a parastatal. One is the Magical Kenya. I don't know how many of you have basically seen that Magical Kenya is having a lot of virtual tours of the national park. And it's basically enticing even investors, even, like, you know, even during this time, for people just to, like, you know, try and figure out what Kenya has to offer, just over and above tourism. So it's more or less of like, it's like a spark that's igniting interest. This is now the Kenyan market. We've seen things like virtual conferences, like what we're having right now, virtual meetings as well. And even when you look at how, people are like, transacting, it's now moved even into like, people opting to do their transactions. This is now using mobile money. Yeah. And more downloads of mobile app applications for banks to basically get people to like, be able to move money from one area to the other without actually physically going to a bank. So overall, we need to innovate and just decide that the pandemic is here to stay with us for a certain period, and we really, really hope that a vaccine is actually found. But we need to basically adjust to the current situation. Two is we need to empower everyone we work with. This is now from the staff, the stakeholders, even to our consumers. And this is, in this day and age, and I will not beat around the bush, most organizations are looking for resources that are actually have like, multiple skills. Yeah. So this is a chance for you to go back and look at using such tools as Microsoft Excel. I know most of you, once it ended in high school, that's it. Not even high school, like even like campus and all that. So this is a time in which now you need to basically now push like, your capabilities just over and beyond in terms of the normal routine that, you're used to. And that is what basically employers are looking for. This is now when you look at, this is now resources. And I can just say finally, or this is now the second last point, is when you look at e-commerce, yeah? So I admire Glovo. This is now the app. One is because the moment we went into the breakout and we were jumping into the containment period, I was impressed that you can even order food from a Mama Kibanda on your Glovo. Like if you're used to eating your Rolex, if you're used to like, your Matumbo, you can now actually order it. This is now from Glovo. Moving even like, further, like a hospital like MP Shah, they have virtual consultation. So you really don't need to go to a hospital for like, if it's like, your mild symptoms, like, your sore throat and all, you can actually just book an appointment. This is now with the hospital, with a specific doctor. And you have like a Zoom call with the doctor and they will basically guide you on a diagnosis all the way to medication. And even that, they even refer you to like, apps like My Dawa for you to actually get your medication delivered to your house. So I keep on telling my clients and anyone who I basically talk to. So we are moving from a physical kind of life to a phygital kind of life. So it's quite kind of like, like a word play there. And for you to basically be noticed, so strategies that are going out right now, digital is leading. And digital is leading because of, still, we'll go back to numbers. When we look at the Kenyan population, 59% of people actually do have social media accounts. And this is now basically come discovering brands, yeah? So most of the people who actually discover brands, this is now online, is through social media. And that's now 59% of the total population. This has actually beat TV because 56% of the people who discover a brand is through TV. So it's a small margin, but we see it growing as like, we get into the end of the year. Yeah. Then when you look at now sites, TV shows and films, that basically falls as like, supplementary or a secondary channel when it comes to people discovering this is now your brand. And there are different ways in which we opt to this is now advertise. There are companies such as like, Unilever and Diageo. They've basically pulled down their advertising budget, yeah? And we are finding that even like, those annoying sponsored ads that always pop up onto your social media. So many global brands basically meaning like, your promoted tweets, your Facebook sponsored posts and all that. What they're opting is a more organic kind of conversation. And we're seeing that there are a lot of kind of driven conversations that are being pushed by like, these global brands, because this market, as we see it, is we have like a kind of a peer influence that happens. So you'll find that hearing it from like, someone who you basically look up to, or someone who you feel that is respectable within a society, able to like, get the necessary out there. And this is my second question, and I'd like you to just comment on the comment section. So how many of you have ever done a purchase through an online recommendation? This is now, it can be an ad or just an influencer who posted something. So you can just post your answers there. And ideally, this is where we are going in terms of just advertising and just living within the digital space. And we see it getting to a point in which, like, we're sending proposals right now to like, most of our bosses and managing partners, and just telling them, okay, right now we've seen, people actually working from home. We thought that it's going to be a real challenge, but right now we are seeing is either people are being more productive because they can either like, have their breakfast at their own free time, attend a Zoom call like this and just have like, their tie on and like, they have like, shorts underneath. It's more or less of like, it's environment friendly, but it's not working. This is now for everyone, because ideally you need discipline when it comes to working from home. Yeah. I think I'll just touch one more thing. This is now when we look at paid advertising. Yeah. So paid media is tricky, but the beauty about it is you can actually target your target audience. This is now to their specific interest. Yeah. So over and above in terms of just like, having your billboard on a highway, because it'll basically, anyone will see it, but you wouldn't be sure that a certain number of like, your targeted consumers will actually see it. The reason why I always push for digital first is we can actually monetize this, and we can actually track it to the point of getting a sales lead, yeah, and now boiling now back down to remarketing to someone. Like, just in case you're selling them a watch, they end up in Jumia where the watch is, and they get distracted and they drop off. So we can use that information still to like, information. This is now over and over. This is now back to you as a consumer. I know I might be basically exposing some of the operating systems that we have. This is now within the market, but that we have, yeah, in as much as, and this is going and just on any time conversation with a friend, and you're just drawing afternoon, you talk about probably like diapers, yeah, and the moment you mention diapers, and like 5 minutes later when you check your phone and you go to Facebook or Twitter, diaper are pushed to you. How many of you have basically seen that? So it's actually true. Most of these devices that we have listen, yeah? And they listen to us. I know it's more or less of like a invasion in privacy, but most of us do not consider the fact that when we are downloading an app or whether we are subscribing to something, we don't read the T's and C's. And I'm sure close to 50% of us in this call never read T's and C's. All you do is, you know what? I need to download TikTok, let me download it, and I move on with my life. And then the moment you see your content trending is now when now you become scared. But it's all about like, the legal process and you basically giving your information. This is now to all these brands and all these services that are basically online. So I'm not saying that you need to freak out. The thing is, if you need to be careful, or you're more or less of like a reserved person, you need to pay consideration to all these things. Otherwise, you'll always be getting like, your annoying advertisements, your annoying push notifications over and over on your devices. Yeah. I guess with that, it was short. I didn't want to basically go into a detail, like, of basically living in the digital world. But the only thing I can say is we basically just need to be aware of the changing times, because if we do not innovate right now, or if we do not accept that Zoom calls are going to be a thing, yeah? And if you're not going to invest on this is now our staff or any other person around us, our stakeholders and all that, then we will be left behind, yeah? There's so many companies that when Uber, just last example, when Uber was coming into the market, there was a lot of people fighting it, yeah? But Uber basically addressed one thing. It addressed the fact that you can actually track your driver, yeah? So you might lose something within your car. It addressed that need that it basically had in the market. That's why it's basically become a big thing, yeah? And I think with that, yeah, sorry for ending abruptly. That's basically my presentation for this evening. So I guess I can open the floor to questions and answers before I give it back to Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Dan, for your presentation. So just before we move to Q&A, I shall welcome our past president, Josiah Mwangi, to take us through the SAA session. Just as he gets ready. The SAA session is just basically where we have fun as we raise money, and this money is dedicated to our projects, the projects that we do as a club. All contributions go towards making this sustainable, just like the one I mentioned for the water point, and any other project that we're working on. So over to you, Josiah Mwangi.
Sammy, I've just come in. Hey.
That's why you are the director
I'm
of
on the road.
Where you work.
And I'm on the road, so I'm trying to think about what to do. So, can you give me a minute or two? Can you start with the questions?
Sure. So we can start with 2 questions and then move to Josiah, and then finish up with the rest of the questions. So if you have a question, just please raise your hand, and Dan can take us through. Thank you. Shall start with Faith.
Hi.
Hello, Faith.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. My question is, you've mentioned that if a company, for example, ABL right now is not traditional kind of marketing, basically. Yeah. And because they're focused more on starting the conversation. But from what I've understood is you said the social media aspect is also not part of it. So how do they start the conversation and keep their products relevant and updated in the market if not using this this means that that makes sense, that convert into sales?
Okay.
And then the next question from Lydia.
I think my question is almost like what someone has already asked, but it's basically the same thing. So if Ogilvy, for instance, is promoting Gordon's, for instance, yeah. So the kind of posts you usually have on social media, and we've had this conversation several times, is that like one of the products that is under your company, or is that like your own engagement, like personal engagement with certain brands? And then also, if you're engaging certain brands at the kind of level that you do, how are they able to convert that into sales? And are they able to track the fact that these sales came from done Obura's pushing on social media. Like I've always wondered how they're able to trace it back to you, for instance, so that they, I mean, I think that will determine the next engagement that they'll have with you or something like that. But I've always been curious about how that happens.
I can start with the first question.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So how to make sense and basically how to sell. So it's a good thing I had this video on standby. So so one of the brands we've been basically having struggles with is Gilbey's Gin, yeah. And from the client perspective, is it had a perception in which the current market, like the Kenyan market, looked at it as a low-end product, yeah. So right now, basically, what sells is content, and content is powerful, but it needs to be very, very scripted and also directed to the right people to consume it. So the brief from client was simple. Make Gordon's, like, relevant to the consumer again. So what we did is we took an already existing idea, yeah, and played around with it just to make a video. And if you allow me, I'll just share my screen and I'll play the video for you guys to see. Yeah. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Hi guys, can I just go get some coffee? I'll be right back.
No problem. Sure. Let's just start off with January 2020. Now, consumer spending is up. If you look at the graph right below.
What page are we on?
I'm sorry, we're on page 12, the second graph from the top.
Okay. Danielle, turn your camera off.
All right, so if you look, we're at 0.15% higher than 2019. We started this quarter off at 2.75%.
Holy shit.
Daniel.
God.
I don't think he's
Daniel. Can you do that for us?
Daniel.
Daniel. Call Mika. Oh my God. Call Daniel on his cell. Call Daniel on his cell. How do we turn this speed off?
Wow.
We can't. Daniel, host. Holy shit. Oh my God.
So that was basically a simple execution, yeah. And what we did is when we got the brief from client, we look at the current situation. People are on Zoom calls. And people fumble a lot when you look at Zoom calls. So our low-hanging fruit was, so how do we bring the brand relevant? And I'm so sure as this meeting is going on, there's someone somewhere who is sipping on coffee, if I may put it. And it did had, like, a significant impact. This is now within the consumer, because I believe the moment you basically show a particular perception about a brand or a product, people will take it up. And the moment we went live with that video, we had influencers on standby just to also curate the conversation. So anyone who would basically come online and say, okay, but a guild is 1,100. But now the influencers will basically respond and now give, like, a background to this is now the brand. Ideally, people think Gilbey's is a Kenyan brand, but it's actually globally recognized. It's just that the entry-level Gilbey's gin is sold in this market. There's a premium Gilbey's gin that's out there, and it'll come into the market. But the whole point I'm trying to bring out, especially to, like, organizations and brands, I think you need to be a bit bold enough, like, to try out new things. And I see brands that actually sit down and, like, take a risk in just, like, beating their chest in advertising, yeah, and just going beyond their comfort zone and just to share, like, a kind of video like that, gets to win, yeah. But you basically need a strategy. Yes, it translates back to sales. It did translate back to sales because now people were like, okay, right now, the drink to actually have in an evening Zoom call must be in. And that's how the gin portfolio is trying to grow. This is now within the market. The other videos we're actually working on, and they'll basically go live. The beauty is you can't really tell that it's organic, but it has to be very, very scripted also to like, you know, tell the story. So that's, if I can say for digital, that's the best way to make sense when it comes to selling products, services, or anything that you have online. But just having the right content scripted, this is now for your consumer. And also it has to sit on the right platform. Yeah. Then I'll go to the second question. So yes, I do work on Gordon's Gin. The reason why you basically see EABL pushing gin out into the market right now is because ideally it takes 12, close to like approximately a week to like, you know, manufacture gin and push it into the market. Not as opposed to whiskey where it takes, let me say, a minimum of 12 years. So the thing is, you have to wait for 12 years to figure out whether or not your whiskey is good. Yeah. So that's why they're opting to go for gin, because right now people are indoors and people assume, it's an assumption that they're drinking more than like, you know, when they were actually like, you know, free to move up and down. So yes, it's one of the gin portfolios that we are trying to push out. So there's dry, yeah. And then now there is now the landed in 2 weeks back. Is palate comes to like they have an adaptable palate when it comes to alcohol. So you'll find that probably next year people will switch back and go back to vodka, or they will switch back or go back to whiskey. But as we speak right now, gin is actually a big thing, because okay, there's an assumption where people are saying that you get less hangovers, which is, I can say, is not correct, because in as much as you overindulge, you will get a side effect. This is now in the morning. And to answer in terms of tracking sales, now there's a possibility in terms of tracking sales. So if you have a landing page, this is now to our website. So the only thing I need to do is, like, let's say I'm the social media influencer. I can put up content about this is now anything that I'm pushing. So the moment someone clicks on that link, it directs them, like, let's say now to the Jumia platform. Jumia will be able to say that 20 of these people were redirected from Dan Obura's Twitter account. So they can actually tell. Yeah. And then now from there, using their backend Google Analytics, they can see the journey of this particular person until they basically make a purchase. Yeah. So that's one way of doing it. This is now if everything sits online. Yeah. The second doing it is, if you want to use influencers, is you can easily get a promo code for an influencer. And then the influencer, the only thing they do is they'll tell you, go on to Jumia, Yam, Turnup, or Glovo, use this code is 1234 to basically do a purchase and get a discount. So that's the second way in which you can actually track now sales leads, or just purchases that are being made online. Yeah. I believe I've fully answered the questions. Over to you, Mr. President, if there are any other questions.
No, I don't have to stand up.
Okay, I'm seeing a question from Innocent Oko. There is this idea that creativity brings, that it's encouraged by company, but it has the flip side that it might be a flop. In the sense, the creativity is considered the risk-seeking option. On the other hand, many people tend to stick to standard procedure as it's more secure. It's more attractive as it's the risk-averse option. How has Ogilvy managed to secure this creative spark? Yeah, so yes, there are ideas in which actually a lot of organizations do have policies and also ways in which they need to conduct themselves or basically just also show themselves this is not the general public, yeah? And that is good because having ethics, like, you know, also in doing business also is good. But you'll find that at times there are organizations in which you can actually poke them to, like, you know, be a bit witty. I can pick out one is like, you know, KCB Group. When the moment they went live with their Twitter handle and the way they were basically like, you know, clapping back to people, when, like, you know, someone asked, you know, if they can, like, you know, get to withdraw, like, you know, the amount of money with the likes they have on a Twitter account. Like, I remember there's one time someone tweeted Jumbo Jet asking if they fly to Voi, and Jumbo Jet responded telling the guy, we don't have an airstrip in Voi, but we can provide you with a parachute just as we are flying over Voi, yeah? So it only works in specific markets also. Because there are those markets in which people are very reserved, so your wittiness has to be, like, you know, contained. But there are markets in which I can say, like, you know, like Kenya, we are a diverse nation, and we like joking a lot when you look at the kind of digital conversations that we have. So also as Ogilvy, before we basically propose a wild idea to, like, you know, a client who wants to basically market their product, we also do a social audit. Yeah, and the social audit comes out of social, so goes back to now on ground, where we basically have, like, you know, random surveys just to get people to understand. We try and get people people's mind in terms of what they feel about a brand. The brands in which people don't like at all. The moment you be witty, you're shut down. Yeah, so there's always that social audit that's done before we basically go live with communication.
Thank you, Dan. So let me just find out. Josiah, are you ready?
Sammy.
Yes.
Take a last question, then I'll be ready.
Okay. No, it's okay.
By the time Dan answers. Almost home.
So Past President Njiri had a question, so I'll ask him to go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, President Malaki, for the opportunity. And I appreciate Dan and his insightful presentation. My question is, what's your take on the fact that can anyone become an influencer? And then how do influencers justify their pricing? I remember the other day, social media, there's this influencer, I can't remember her name, but there's this lady who actually we got to see her pricing, and, you know, and everyone in social media was like, how do you justify such high costs and all that? So maybe you can actually just give us a glimpse into that, and maybe just a bit about your story in terms of like as an influencer.
Okay, thank you. So to your first question, can anyone become an influencer? Yes, looking at 2020, anyone can become an influencer. The reason why I'm saying this is there are applications in which are free and ready available to, this is now most people, where you can do your photo edits and your video edits as well. Influencing is all about content creation as we speak right now. When we were talking about 2 years back, influencing was all about how many people are following me. Yeah. And the moment I basically put out my content, how many people are seeing that content? But now, like, I'll just pick out one brand, Whitecap. I have an influencer who only has 300 followers. Yeah. And the moment I was proposing her as an influencer, everyone was like, we don't think that she will kind of, like, you know, get the leverage that we need. But the fact that she could actually take good quality pictures, that was one, that were appealing to, this is not the consumer. So the moment they basically saw it, they would spark to either go onto the Whitecap page or they would basically order. So yes, as I speak right now, anyone can be an influencer. It's just, is your content relevant to the consumer? Is it quality? Is it creative? Yeah. When I'm looking for influencers right now, it's all about content creation. So numbers really don't matter. You can have your, I wouldn't say don't matter, but in specific instances, it does matter. But as we speak right now, as long as you can do quality content, it will get the necessary traction that it actually deserves. Yeah. And when we look at your second question, which is pricing, and the thing about the Kenyan market is we are not that well advanced when you look at influencer marketing. Yes, charging 150,000 for an Instagram post is absurd, because I don't think there's any organization right now that will be comfortable paying, like, for that. That's unless you're going to, like, grow their business, like, twice the number when you look at this is not their customer engagement, or this is not the lead generation. So there are actually tools that are out there that we use. Yeah. So I'll just pick up one tool. It's called Webfluential. And this tool basically, it monetizes your Twitter. So the only thing you do is once you go to Webfluential and you type on the analytics section, what you only need to do is just type out your Twitter handle, and it will tell you how much your tweet costs. So for me, right now, I know that with the kind of influence I have per tweet, I can charge up to $30 per tweet. Yeah. So, and how it measures that is it looks at, once you basically put out a tweet, it now shows, like, the ripple effect of your tweet, like how many people click on it, how many impressions, who are you engaging with, and all that. So it looks at that algorithm and it gives you a social currency to the dollar. Yeah, and that's what we use for Twitter influencers. Now, when we look at, this is now the other platforms, this is now Facebook and Instagram and all that, it becomes very tricky because there is no tool that we are using currently. So what we are doing is, and I feel like the Advertisers Association needs to come up, with rate cards for influencers. Because I know right now we have three types of tiers of influencers. So there is the micro influencer, there's a macro, and there's an amplifier. Probably I can say in IG probably has like 12 to 15,000 influencers. A macro influencer is someone who clocks close to like 100K followers. And then an amplifier is just someone who either they play around 1,000 to 500 influencers. And all these guys have a rate card. For the people who have 100K and above, it's very easy to, even pay close to like 30,000 for a post. And there's one influencer who I used once, and they were charging close to 250,000. This is now per post. And we actually see the moment they just put up that post on either Facebook and Instagram, you immediately get calls on your call center. So it actually makes sense. And then now when you have your micro influencers, what I've basically picked out is they are more of the content creator kind of influencers. And for them, their rate currently within, as we talk as an agency, in the group of agency is between 20K all the way to 80,000. This is now a month. Yeah. And then now you have your amplifiers where you can even pay them up to 10,000 Kenya shillings. This is now in a month. It might look little, but when you think of it, let's say if you're a micro influencer and you're able to close up to let's say 5 contracts that span up to 6 months, and each contract is paying 50,000. It's good money. Yeah. I know most of them don't pay tax, but we normally do the withholding tax because we pay them as individuals. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Naomi. Naomi has shared the Webfluential link on the chat.
Thank you very much, Dan. So we have our SAA, Peter Kanake, president of this club. Kanake. Kanake?
Thank you, Mr. President. So we are at that point of our meeting where we share the nice things that have happened, that's a happy dollar, and the things that we're not happy about, sad dollar, or if you're just there in Kenyanese, uko tu, you can share that. Our dollar rate is still 100 shillings. So the floor is open for happy dollar, sad dollar. Mr. President, was there somebody who was ready to go?
Yes. This is Gloria.
Shoot,
Hi.
Gloria, go ahead. Hi.
Yes, 3 happy dollars for me. First for Dan, my colleague in the industry. Thank you, Dan. This has been very good information for some of us in the industry, because now we know what we need to change. Second happy dollar for her party on Saturday. For the induction we had for Lydia on Saturday at Machoka's place. It was really nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gloria. There's still room for more. Happy dollars, sad dollars. The floor is open. Who wants to go next?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Keshi Mkuria. Mine is a gratitude dollar to the club for standing with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. 3 gratitude dollars.
Thank you, Kashi.
Okay, can I go?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
I have 2 happy dollars. One for the guest speaker. Very good talk. Thank you so much for your time. And the second happy dollar is to Lydia, our new member. Congrats. Welcome on board. So my 2 happy dollars.
Thank you, Wilson. There's still room for more happy dollars, sad dollars.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have 5 happy dollars. 3 of them are for the event on Sato, my induction. It was really enjoyable, and I think I really loved the theme, and all the people who showed up to support. I'm really grateful, and to even have a crowd like that during these times, I was really touched, and I'm happy to join the family. Then 2 happy dollars are for my friend Dan. No, I understand what he does. Sometimes I just DM him asking what this story is about, what he's trying to push with his posts, and now I totally understand what it is that he does. Yeah, so thank you for the presentation, Dan. Yeah.
Asante Lydia. From AG, we received 3 happy dollars to the speaker and the new member. Asante sana, AG Alaki. There's still room for more happy dollars, sad dollars.
Rotarian Richard Irungu, RC Rongai, 1 happy dollar for Dan for the amazing talk. Thank you very much. And 4 more for Rotary Club of Milimani for fellowshipping with you. Thank you very much.
I think you meant Madaraka, but thank you very
much.
much, Richard.
Sorry, Madaraka, sorry.
Asante. More happy dollars, sad dollars.
Can I have 5 happy dollars?
Yes.
The first one is for the guest speaker. I know him from his real life. I've never seen him in action as a digital strategist. I've seen Naomi Mutua, my friend, also is here. Welcome for our meeting. The other one is for Lydia, your induction. And then my final happy dollar is for Liverpool for winning the league. Yay!
We'll kick you out. Thank you, Sana. Thank you very much, Past President Josiah. More happy dollars. We need to close this in the next 10 minutes.
Kanake, I have 2 happy dollars.
Sawa. Please go ahead.
Yes, my first happy dollar is to Lydia. Karibu sana to the family of Madaraka, and feel at home. And my second happy dollar is to the speaker, Dan. The conversation, very interesting, very enlightening, very wow. Yeah, a lot of food for thought. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Wanja. More happy dollars. More happy dollars going once before I hand over to the president. Any more happy dollars? If you don't want to speak, you can just drop a line in the chat button below, and then I'll read it out.
I'll add another happy dollar. I can see other people I know here, like, hi, Jessica, who are in the call. I can see there are many people I know on the call. That's another happy dollar to make it 6. And Jody.
That is 7.
Eish.
I'm just saying. All right. Before I hand over to the president, any last takers before I give mine, and then I hand over to the president? Going once, going twice. Feel free to, even though you don't want to announce, just feel free to send that, and you can share the message either in the WhatsApp group or in the chat button. So I have $3. The first is a happy and recognition dollar to the guest speaker. Thank you for an enlightening session. I just want to find out if you're the same Dan Obura I saw online who's beaten cancer. I think it's been in remission for the past 17 years. I saw something online, so
yes,
I thought
that's me.
Oh yeah, congratulations, that's good. My second is for the new Rotarian. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you, but karibu sana to the family. Last one is a sad dollar. We lost our colleague based out of Nigeria suddenly this weekend. He was a very good guy. So that's my sad dollar. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very, very much, Past President Kanake, for stepping in. Really appreciate $50. First happy dollar is to Lydia for being inducted a member of our club. I think you are the most patient inductee. It took quite some time, but thank you for sticking with us and being patient. Second happy dollar was to Saturday. Like, it was amazing. If you missed, you really, really missed. It was great seeing all these people who I hadn't seen in a long time. Gloria, Washera, Teresa. I mean, quite a number of people I hadn't seen in a while. So my third happy dollar is to Dan. Dan, we're in high school with Dan, and I told him I'll mention this. Dan used to be a rapper in high school, so he can drop bars if you meet him on the side. Fourth happy dollar is to this meeting. Final happy dollar is end month, so I'm excited. Thank you. So we shall go back to the Q&A, and there were some questions that had been dropped into the box. Gladys had a question, so Dan, if you could just pick it up from there. Thanks.
This is from Gladys, yes?
That is correct.
I'm assuming it's the one where she asked, Gladys, you're asking that you wanted me to dig deeper into IG selling videos to YouTube. Hi, Gladys.
Gladys. Okay, we can move to another question as we wait for Gladys.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Alexander just posted. Mr. Obura, any tips on getting senior management in organizations to believe that digital transformation projects are essential/important?
Oh, yes. Yes, there are. I think one thing about, let me just touch about when it comes to organizations. One thing to basically bear in mind, I think you need to, in terms of just approaching organizations, there's a way in which, yes, people are basically close to budgets right now, but people are open to, like, new ideas, even when you look at, like, management. So I feel, on my end, I feel that, because I'm trying to understand the question. Is it more of, like, how to get organizations to believe that digital is the way to go? Yeah. Is that like, oh, that's Alexander Mbaye. Is he on the call?
I'm on the call, Mr. Obura.
Yes. Kindly just expound in terms of.
Thank you, Mr. Obura. My question actually is with the digital world at the moment, the sort of meetings are in the formal sector, like in the offices, are just for getting like the to-dos done. But how can we then engage as senior management to ensure that perhaps we had a team building? How do we ensure that this is done? We had a training in the calendar for the year. How do we push so that this is done? So that we do not procrastinate certain objectives because of COVID, because we cannot be able to meet in the office. So just how do we get about to get the buy-in of senior management? Because we have meetings to just get boxes ticked. But how do we then, because there's a mental aspect of an employee, I'm just talking about human resources, so that the employee is also engaged and we have this some spectrum for the staff. That was my direction for the question. Thank you, Mr. Obura.
Okay. So I believe introducing any new approach, and this approach in this particular sense is digital. I believe one thing you need is buy-in when you look at just being positive about work and the work environment. I believe once an employee, or this is now the whole team members, are comfortable with, like, you know, the ways of working in terms of how they interact with each other, is where now you can now move on and now introduce, this is now new approaches when it comes to digital. And by the time you're doing that, you need to basically now show the value. And by showing the value is looking at, does it address budget concerns? This is now one. When you look at probably if they need to buy something, and right now you're telling them you don't need to buy something because this particular digital solution covers that. Yeah, that's how you basically build up your case into showing senior management that we need this digital solution. Yeah, and there's so many articles online when it comes to, like, you know, all these digital solutions. Is how do you basically build your case? This is now to senior management, and also showing that if it's going to spend more, does it mean that there'll be less hours within the office? Yeah, or if you're going to spend more, will it more or less of, like, you know, show clients, like, you know, the reach in terms of spend, as opposed to, like, putting something on, like, you know, on a billboard. So I believe it's more or less of like what I do, like strategy. You need to basically just think through and, like, you know, ask yourself, like, you know, all these questions, because ideally when it lands to procurement, always that, like, you know, fallback. It might be a really, really good idea and it'll help an organization. But the thing is, you just need to basically build your case and also try and show the value. You can even go a step further in terms of just doing what we call, like, you know, a tries X with the digital solution, with, like, you know, a smaller group of people within the organization. It can be as simple as, like, you know, a tool called Slack, where it's all about monetizing, like, you know, how people's output are within an office. So you can start, like, you know, small, and then when you see, like, within your department it's actually working, is now when you can now use that as a dipstick to basically convince, like, you know, senior management that, listen, we've tried this with, like, you know, 4 or 5 people and this is how it's worked. And I feel like if we scale it within the organization, we will be able to, like, you know, achieve significant results. But as I said, any employee, any person who need that positive, even try and buy in everyone within the office. Yeah.
So Gladys.
Oh, she's asking, how do you make money on IG and YouTube by selling, like, videos? I can say for Instagram is a different platform because first you need to basically curate your content. Like your content needs to be very specific. Like when someone basically lands on your Instagram, they know what you're selling. Are you selling lifestyle? Are you selling shoes? Are you selling a personality? What basically are you selling? Then now from there, because brands are always watching, this is now on social media space, and over and above brands, even agency people are watching what other people are doing online. I can say if you want to look for Instagram, I think you need to basically now start building like, reputation, like kind of engagement with like, people who are in agency. This is now after curating your content on Instagram. Then now from there is now when they'll be able to tell you like probably, and for you, alcohol is good with the kind of content you push, or it can be a certain like, beauty product. So it all depends on where you basically want, how it on your Instagram. I can say, apparently, when you look at Instagram, and basically giving like, influencers job when it comes to selling content is, it sits heavily within advertising agencies in terms of even how get jobs. So you definitely now need to create your network with anyone who's basically in agency. Either you look at client service or any person who does influencer management within the agency. You is different because right now we know that after you hit a certain number of views within your YouTube channel, YouTube actually pays you for the views. And currently as it stands is 1 million views. So they can either pay you per view. This is not the correct figure, but it can be as simple as probably if you clock 1 million views, they might decide to pay you like, $1 for each, like, for each view you get from your YouTube over and above from there. So there's that conversation with YouTube. The other one can be still, it boils back down to what kind of content you're pushing on your social account. And are you getting subscriptions? Are you getting people to actually like, land on your page? How are you engaging people? And I go back to the same explanation as Instagram and just highlight that people are actually online more right now, and people have eyeballs on whatever you are doing online. So you can look at YouTube in those two senses. And it's hard. There are people who, yes, they do already know all these people who are working in like, the advertising spaces. But it takes time if you're starting from scratch. But if you have those connections and networks, it's easy for you to just like, scale the content that you.
Okay. This is from Richard Irung, and it's Mr. Dan. Take ask you.
Is influence I'm selling 10,000 shillings. Come section and directing is see wants to buy. Into DM, but influencer just because that confidence, like about their they confidently put it out there and wait for interest to reach out. This is now, and I think there's one more thing I think I have. What was it again? Yep.
My final question. My question to you is, move, and this is of an like an advertising industry.
Yeah.
Boycott in advertising. Certain companies in Facebook and their affiliates in advertising because they were afraid that they don't want their adverts to appear under fake news tags. They felt like Facebook wasn't doing enough. And that just, my question basically is, do you think that, you know, there's enough, like what social media channels are doing is enough to quail down fake news, so that if I'm advertising my brand, I don't have it under a banner appearing on a fake slogan, and my viewers, you know, associating my brand at fake information being shared?
When you look at, yes, when you look at paid advertising, it's easy. This is now when you're doing your Facebook sponsored ads. You can actually configure your communication to appear on specific relevant comments. So you basically put keywords, yeah, and they can all be like, you know, positive comments. And then once you push it out, what Facebook does is it just curates the content that's on someone's timeline, and it shows it when the time is relevant, yeah. This is not, it looks at when the person is online, and if they've basically searched about alcohol recently, is now when it basically shows. It shows them that particular ad. So when you look at paid advertising, it's very possible, yeah. And I can say actually all social media accounts, I mean, all social media platforms have that. But now when it comes to, this is now organic posting, like a brand just decides to put up a post organically, and then it basically, it lands on something that is not appropriate, or above or below. So I know Twitter has, like, you know, bots that curate content, and they basically take down content that basically violates their policy when you look at engaging online. I'm sure a lot of guys have tried to post a video on Instagram and it has music, and immediately Instagram pulls it down. Yeah. So there's an investment in which they're doing on tools. Yeah. But when you look at organic posting, I believe there is more, because a lot of people online are not, how can I say? I wouldn't say friendly, but they always want to basically push out things that just are, I can call them clickbait. Yeah. So that you can report by just, like, you know, clicking on the menu option within either a tweet or a Facebook. And you need a certain number of people to report a particular post for it to be taken down. Social media is a community. And I believe that it's up to, like, you know, everyone just come together and, like, you know, have a conversation when, if someone is being, how do you call it, not within the social media guidelines, I believe people can come together and, like, you know, report a specific account or, like, you know, a specific post as well. But the thing also, the flip side to it is, I mean, it's also public space. And there are people who want to see it. Yeah. There are people who basically enjoy that fake news. Yeah. In terms of gossip, but measures are there. And I believe, even as a community, I believe we should be in a space or position, like, you know, to flag all these people who we feel that are putting up content that can't be consumed or violate religion or, like, you know, someone's beliefs in something. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dan. Before handing over for the vote of thanks, I'd like to share a meme that was generated. Being in the space that he's in, I guess some of his friends decided to create a different poster. So it's just up on our screen, and I shall ask past President Njiri Kiru to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, President Malaki, for